Hello friends, in this video I will be talking about immediately invoked function expression IIFE. So everyone knows what it means, like in the name itself it is very clear, the function that we create and invoke immediately. But people fail to explain why we need to write these expressions, immediately invoked function expressions. Why would you create a function and immediately invoke that? So I will explain this with coding, but before that let me go back into the history. JavaScript was invented in 1995, and since then there is no way we were able to create the modules. So modules were introduced, CommonJS modules were introduced in 2009, but again that was not the ECMAScript specification. In 2015, officially the ECMAScript specification introduced the concept called as ES6 modules. But if you go back since 1995 to 2009, there was no concept of modules in JavaScript. And only way to create module was using immediately invoked function expressions. Now I will take you to the computer and then let you know how we write the immediately invoked function expression and how it solves the module problem. Imagine that there is a users array and then you have to get the names of all the users, also get the IDs of all the users from that array. So how you will sort this problem is just create these simple functions. For example, so users is in the array, and right now I have given like the static data here, but you can get it from the server using the Axios or fetch API. So just imagine that there is some kind of users data and you want to work with that users data. So you want to fetch some information or extract some information from that array. So normally how we'll do is you will go to the script, and then in the script you will write this code. So for example, if you want to get the names from this array list, you can write something like this: return users0.name, users1.name. It will just give the list of all the users. And same way we can write some get IDs function, and then it will return all the IDs of users. That's it. It is such a simple thing. Now the problem with this approach is that this users get names, this get IDs, all these identifiers or the variables, they stick to the window object. So if I go to the HTML page, you will see let us try to call get names. Okay, so we have get names method, right? Okay, all right, so it printed the names of all the users, but the problem is that if you do window dot get names, you can see get names is there, get IDs is there, and basically all the information is going into the global scope, which is not good. We don't want to pollute the global space, right? And that is the problem. That is where the immediately invoked function expressions come into picture. So what we are going to do now is we are going to wrap this entire code and create a module using immediately invoked function expression. So if you wrap it in the function, what happens is that all these variables will be hidden from the global scope, and we will expose only those things that are required by the global scope. So get names and get IDs, these are the methods that I want to expose. I don't want to expose the users data. So data is like, I want to keep it private. So what I can do is I can wrap this entire thing in a function. So let us create one function, and let us wrap it in that. So let users module, we call it. Okay, everything is wrapped, but now you can't access the get names, get IDs. So if I save this and if I do get names, there is nothing like that. So if I just do it, it will say get names is not defined, and that's because we have wrapped it in the users module. It is basically a simple function. But now I want to expose just those methods that can be accessed publicly, like from the global space. So what we can do is we can return things that we want to expose. So I want to return, say, get names, get IDs, only these things, and these users will nobody can access users. Okay, now we have just written it, but we have not like stored it somewhere. So what we will do is we will call this function, okay, and then we will store it. So what we will do is we will wrap it again in this parenthesis and then immediately call it. So this is where the immediately invoked function expression is happening. And what we just did is that we call this function, right? So when we put this opening and closing parenthesis, that function is getting called, and what this function is doing, inner function, is it is returning object with these methods get names and get IDs, and which will be stored in this particular object users model. So it is basically acting as a model. So now to access those methods, what we can do is user models dot get names and get IDs. You can see these methods are there now. So that's how you can call it now. So if I save it, let me print this one as well. Users, so I'm just gonna print it. Now if you go to the console, you will see this this thing. So let me run this one, and if in the console you can see it printed the list of users. But now if you go to window dot, there is no like get names or get IDs, but you can find the model that we have created. Users model will be there. So what we have created here is users model. So since it is let, it is not showing on the window, but if you created fair. So as I said, this let and const are latest declaration types or declaration keywords. So back in before 2009 they were just fair. So if you put a fair, what happens is those variables or the user model will be stick on this window object. So if I come here, it should be there, you can see. So like this we can create a separate models, users model, or somebody else is working, say employers or suppliers, products, so they can create their products model, for example. The benefit that we are getting here is that we are protecting the data, or we are protecting the functions, variables, whatever we want to hide it, we can hide it using this model concept. And basically we are exposing only those things that are like public can access. So here get names and get IDs are the methods that someone else can access, but not the users directly. So that is the main concept behind immediately invoked function expressions. But now in 2022 I don't think this immediately invoked function expressions are that much useful, because we have got ES6 model, like that is the standard built-in model system that JavaScript specification has introduced. So now everyone would like to use that ES6 models, but still it is important to know this concept, because sometimes we might need to use it. For example, when we want to like we can't use the await keyword in the top level, like it has to be inside the async function. So in that kind of situations we can create the immediately invoked function expressions just to make like create a function and then immediately invoke it, so that we can use like await keyword inside the async function. That's it. That's all you wanted to know, or you should know about these immediately invoked function expressions. If you have more questions, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.